Well, hello there. Welcome to Power of the Peeps. This is Tracey Noriega, and I have Steph Peak, which is I love that. Steph Peak on the Peeps. So Peeps
Yes.
for positive, extraordinary, everyday people stories. And she is the director and founder of Rusty Halo Foundation. They do some great things with youth, with equine therapy. And, I'm going to let her take it from here about just what she does because it's just so great. Steph, tell us about Rusty Halo. I'm really interested in knowing, first of all, Rusty Halo, the name. How'd you get into equine therapy? And then at youth risk, how do those three come together for you?
Rusty Halo has been a name very dear to my heart for many years. Because we talk so much about angels, and angels have this perfect shiny halo, and nobody's halo is perfect. Nobody's halo is perfectly shiny. Everybody has a rusty halo, and that is perfect. And when working with youth, it's really letting youth know that you are perfect just the way you are, with your rusty halo and all. And that's where the name comes from. And it's very dear to me to let everyone know everybody has a rusty halo, and it's beautiful. Yeah.
That is nice. That's sweet. I love that. And especially for, youth, because adolescents, who feels, we all feel like the ugly duckling in those weird stages, right? And
Yes.
Never good enough, the pimples coming out.
I know, that awkward phase.
Yes.
Yeah.
So how with at-risk youth, because your background is all construction. I mean, let's be honest, Steph Peak is a very successful businesswoman in the area of construction, a woman in construction, and yet now here you are in this arena of at youth risk and equine therapy. Where's that jump come from there to there?
Yes, construction. I've been in construction for about 25 years. I was very successful in construction. It didn't line up for me. I knew very early on that I wanted to live a life of service because of how my dad raised us. My dad just was constantly helping people. He'll help stranded motorists. He'll help women running down the street and throw them in my car to help them. That's how I was raised, and that's the life that I want to live. And I wasn't able to do it as much as I wanted to in construction. So I went back to school and started getting my master's in social work so that I could work with at-risk youth. And I know at-risk youth is such a funny phrase because all youth are at risk, really. It's just such an awkward development phase. And I know for me, it was a very tough time in my life. And I want to work with youth. I'm very passionate about youth understanding that they have a voice. And that they should be heard, they can be heard, and that they have someone fighting for them, fighting in their corner, no matter what they're going through. I don't want any youth to ever feel like they're alone, and especially youth in the foster system or any sort of correctional system. They just have that feeling of being shuffled around and told what to do, no identity, no background, no origin. And I am so passionate about giving them a place and an activity, a path, a purpose that they choose, that they're in control of, and supporting them in that so they feel safe, experimenting, trying, learning, and then knowing that someone is there to support them. And I want to be that person, and I want a team of people there to be a community for them.
That's awesome. And so, with that, there's so many ways that you can serve the youth. You see people with sports and art, but horses, how did it come about horses? Did you grow up around horses?
No, I did not. Apparently I rode one when I was little, and I don't remember. But the first time I rode a horse was about 6 years ago. I was on a trip to Kauai. That ended up being not what I planned for it to be. So I was in a pretty dark headspace, pretty dark place in my life, was figuring out the construction thing wasn't working, just really bad place, and went on a horseback ride. And as I'm just trotting along with this horse, just a peace and a calmness just washed over me. And I was more relaxed than I've ever been in my entire life. And it's just like the stars aligned, everything came together, thunder, lightning, whatever you want. And this is what I have to bring to the youth. and then came home, started Rusty Halo, and started training in therapeutic riding. And it was the one thing that came naturally to me, where people would say, "You're meant to do this." And I wasn't even really having to try it. It was what I was born to do. And it all just made sense.
Oh, and I love that, because it's like, look at everything you had to go through to get to that point. I mean, you rode your horse the first time you remember 6 years ago. So how long has Rusty Halo been around?
We've been around for 5 years. So been training in therapeutic riding, been training in equine assisted therapy, just growing my knowledge, getting my master's in social work so I can become a licensed therapist. Yeah, just going from this path of construction to just being a licensed therapist. And it feels so good inside when you're finally aligned with what you're meant to do in life.
Yeah.
Getting to work with these kids and the horses, and just getting to visually see the stories of how the horses can impact people's lives. It's like, yeah, this is what I'm meant to do for the rest of my life.
That's awesome. So how are you serving the youth right now? Like, how many youth do you have at Rusty Halo? Like, what kind of activities are you currently doing?
So right now we have two girls, and we're looking to bring on at least one more pretty quickly. And then we'll be bringing more youth into our kind of weekly program. We're partnering with Horse and Rider Connection in Martinez, and we bring the kids to there. And right now what they're doing is they're learning horsemanship. They're actually doing riding. And what I'm able to do through my program is do light case management, helping them with their SSTs at school or with their school engagement, doing light therapy, doing a lot of car rides where I get to talk to them and do a lot of crying and car rides to and from the ranch. So getting to really do those full experiences with them. This winter, we're going to do some things where we bake cookies and bring them to people. So teaching them to give back, just watching them build their self-esteem, their self-confidence, and then getting to listen to them talk about right now with what we're dealing with. The horses are the one thing keeping them sane, the one thing they have to look forward to each week. So this weekly program is very important to keep these kids engaged, to give the youth something to look forward to.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, so these two girls, are they both in like foster care, or what are, I know, there's HIP and stuff, but what's their story and their background, and how did you find them? Because of course there's like hundreds of thousands of youth that could use something like this, but how did you find these girls and how are you serving them?
So I'm so fortunate. I got to start training at Spirit Horse Therapeutic Riding Center in American Canyon. And during my training, I was riding a foster girl program that would be like a week-long foster program, and got to run it a couple summers at Spirit Horse Ranch, and was able to meet these girls out there through that program, bring them on through Rusty Halo, and continue the weekly programming with them. So that kind of started it with, they were in the system, both were in the system at one point and are now back with their families. So that reunification into families is very important. However, you still need ongoing work, so I definitely jump in and support all their families as well, and working with the entire household, to support them. Yeah.
So do their families get to come out to the ranch too and ride the horses as well?
Yeah, so having to partner with others, I'm a little limited on what I can do at the other ranches until we have our own ranch. I kind of have to gauge what I can do, but we definitely get the families out there to watch and to be a part of it as much as possible. And then as we're helping with school, we're in meetings with the parents, with the moms in the school meetings, and partnering and supporting the moms through that as well.
That's awesome. So let's touch base on that. Rusty Halo currently does not have a ranch of its own.
Right.
Is that correct? So what are in order to bring these girls to the horses and whatnot, what kind of partnerships and what are you doing now? And what is it that you hope to do?
So right now we're working at Horse and Rider Connection. However, next year we are planning at least 5 events. I just got confirmation today we'll be partnering with Youth Homes Inc. in Pleasant Hill. They are a phenomenal organization with at least 4 short-term supportive housing homes for foster youth.
Oh.
And partnering with them to bring them to, we'll be working with Generosity, Horse and Rider Connection, places like that. So right now, Rusty Halo is kind of a middle ground to fund bringing these youth to different programming. However, if we had our own ranch, we would be running nonstop. We would have our own short-term supportive house on the ranch where youth would be living.
Yeah.
And, then we would have weekly programming with all sorts of youth, youth of veterans, youth with PTSD, anxiety, any sort of struggle that they have, and then partnering with the juvenile correction system, partnering with all the foster youth around the area for weekly programming, for any type of alternative behavior therapies on a ranch setting. Because when they get out in the outdoors and they're in nature and they're doing something, you'd be surprised. The feelings, the thought, they just start, it just starts flowing.
Well, yeah, I know when I've had enough, and especially with all this shelter in place, you know, I mean, just going outside in itself is, you know, so liberating. But when you can get into nature and can only imagine with a horse. I mean, I've gone horse riding, but to make that connection too. I mean, we want to speak into that, like what actually is happening. You know, sometimes we've seen that, you know, the horse whisperer and, you know, these other things with horses. But I mean, now that you're studying it, like to relay to people who may have only a concept of it or heard about it. I mean, how are horses actually therapy, and what connection do they have with humans, and how do they help heal?
Yeah, horses are amazing creatures. They have this uncanny ability to mirror us and mirror what's going on. So when you get in a therapy setting and you're in like an arena where the horses are loose, the horses will start mirroring whatever's happening with you. And it just has this just amazing energy where all of a sudden it starts pulling your own stories out, because it's like, okay, well, why is this horse doing that? Well, I don't know what's going on with you. Yeah. And then beautiful story starts to unravel, and the horse is just sitting there doing its thing. Like, hey, I'm just here showing you what's going on. You know, they have this beautiful energy that just ripples out and connects with the person. And they just have this ability to know when they need to snuggle and put their, you know, nose in your neck, or knowing when they need to kind of be standoffish and let you know, hey, you need to come to me, or they know when to stand their ground and not move. You know, it's just amazing when you can get next to one of them and feel them breathe on you. When you're brushing one of them and they're just standing there as you're just brushing and caring for them.
Yeah.
You know, this bond, this connection happens. So these youth that have never been able to have more than a short-term connection with something are connecting with this huge animal.
Yeah, who's being unconditional too, right? So, so does it take a special horse to be a equine therapy horse? Do they have to go through some kind of teaching?
So there's different parts to it. You have groundwork, you have like EMDR that can be done on horseback, you have just grooming and riding. So based on what the youth needs, you can tailor it towards that different type of animal. Because yes, some horses should not be therapy horses. They need to be galloping up a trail, you know, or running barrels, or, you know, really challenging a youth to be a leader and a strong horseback rider. That's a different horse than one that you can let loose in an arena who's going to actually do some therapy with you. Yeah. So it takes some finesse to find the right horses to fit the right type of therapy. If you're doing EMDR on horseback and they're just, you know, walking, trotting, cantering up a hill, you need a horse that can do that. So that's where the training of the therapist, the equine specialist, comes in to tailor the right type of activity for the youth. And that's, to me, I find that very fun. I love that.
That sounds very intuitive, though. I mean, it almost seems like you're going to have this intuitiveness, not only with the kiddo, but also with the animal.
Yes. And that's why I think this is just a new area that's really starting to catch on. But if you start doing the research, There's not a lot of research yet. It's starting to come about. However, it's also a pretty pricey activity. Horses take care a lot of it. Insurance costs, things like that. So it's an activity that's really not reached a large population. And that's really what we want to do at Rusty Halo, is give youth that have never even been to a ranch the chance to come to a ranch and do this, when, you know, typically it's something that would cost quite a bit of money for them to come do. So being able to provide this through the foundation, it's so needed. And there needs to
especially with like inner city kiddos who don't get that opportunity. And of course they're not, because if their parents have never been and they don't know anyone, then when's it ever going to happen, right? Unless you go on to Groupon or something.
Right? And then they're just, you know, taking a ride somewhere. They aren't actually getting that interactive therapeutic experience.
So let me ask you this, because we both know from a lot of the things we've done with our own self-development, when you speak into what you're dreaming in the vision, and maybe there's somebody out there who can be that little, you know, take you there. But when you envision like the perfect piece of property, that would be Rusty Halo, that would like, where is that property? Like, how much of that property is there? And what would you put on there? Like, what do you really want to see Rusty Halo become, that you can be offering as like your core offerings?
Yes. So Rusty Halo Ranch is the heartbeat of Rusty Halo Foundation. So we are looking for at least about 20 acres. And if we can get more, we would be able to partner with people like Generosity on the same land. However, our focus is getting Rusty Halo Ranch up and running on about 20 acres. We would love it to be in the Martinez area, Clayton area, near a juvenile correctional system, so we can partner with them to set up programming where those youth can come out and do work programs, therapy programs, anything where we can partner with them to get those youth out and into paths to their own success. So on the ranch, we would have the farmhouse, the short-term housing and treatment home where the youth can come live. And then we would have an open arena for the horses to kind of run around with. But we need a very large closed arena, because when doing like EGALA form of therapy or any sort of ground therapy work, you need it to be confidential. So there's going to be a place for a
outside is not considered confidential with the trees around.
There's a lot of other people riding horses up trails and doing lessons or something, because you can be doing therapeutic lessons, in an open arena while you've got therapeutic lessons happening, or therapy lessons happening indoor. Trail rides definitely needed to have some sort of hill, because EMDR on horseback kind of needs a hill in there, a place where we can set up some camping so that the kids that have really worked through the program can do a little outdoor camping event. It'll be just on the edge of the property, but they can ride the horses out there, stay overnight, things like that. We need a kind of an outdoor seating area. We want inspirational Sundays where somebody comes and speaks, and we do community potluck and really engage the community into what's happening. Just outdoor evening fires, sitting around the campfire singing songs, all that cheesy stuff that
that we all want, right?
Yes, that we all need.
I want it to be a Hallmark movie special, right?
It can happen. And a place for meditation walks and a place to go do meditations, mindfulness, things like that are very crucial to even any form of CBT type therapy and work. Mindfulness is a very big part of that.
Yeah.
I'm really reinforcing mindfulness. So, and a garden. We've got to have the garden. I forgot about the garden and all the rest of the farm animals.
Okay. So a little bit of sustainability there and growing your own stuff.
Yeah, teaching them how to grow their own food. Yeah. If they want to go figure out how to sell it on a farmer's market, if they want to learn construction projects, they can fix things. If they will have a machine shop to fix up all the machinery, they can learn to fix up that, old cars. They can learn to cook. I do music. They can learn to do music do even some sorts of music therapies, art therapies, drama therapies, leadership camps. I can go on and on and on, because once we have our land, we can do anything.
Right. Yeah. Once you have your piece of land, I know. For some reason, I was like seeing Novato and out there too, you know, just this, I don't know. It was like weird. All of a sudden I was off the 101, you know.
The correctional system out there we can partner with.
I'm
That's
sure they do, right?
yes.
But so when you say about housing them there, like how many kiddos are you really looking to house, and what would that look like?
Yeah, so you'd be surprised coming from construction. I like to draw out my own plans, and there's like this philosophy on how to even draw out a housing that we dream of having. About 4 to 6 kids, because we don't want it classified as a group home. We want it to be short-term housing with treatment. But it will be like an open, I call it an open floor plan, where it's an open eating kitchen. Homework would be done in the kitchen, community kitchen, where anyone and everyone that's out there and living there can always kind of eat together, cook together, share time together in that kitchen, with an open living room with music, of course, pianos, all sorts of instruments. And then where the kids will be, if it's upstairs or another side, again, an open area for them to commune and play games and talk and be together. And I tell you, there will be no television.
Good.
I know, trust me, that one's going to be tough. But
well, you know what? You get a DVD player and you just put on some movies. Yeah.
It'll be once they adjust, and are out there and just see there's so much to do.
Yeah, exactly.
And, really, it's like once they see the chickens, the goats, the bunnies, the llamas, the horses, the dogs, the cats, whatever's out there, just that alone, there's stuff to do, and just walking and communing with each other, bonding with each other. Again, more opportunity to bond with someone, something, and learning to bond and then detach. Healthy, a healthy relationship.
Healthy, yeah. You just made me. What would do you have like obviously there's just so much opportunity for this healing and for this bonding and how you said all this stuff, but does anything come to mind, like a story that was just like, just kind of the epitome of what can happen in equine therapy?
Well, so my instructor at school just told me a story that gave me goosebumps. And I'm in it, so I get to see it all the time and get, goosebumps a lot. But this story, she has a son who is on the spectrum, on the autism spectrum, and he's nonverbal, so he doesn't speak. And they were struggling with him. And so they brought him out to a ranch. And
how old is he?
He, I don't remember, early teen.
Okay, teens, all right.
Yeah, early teens. And when they brought him to the ranch, he just immediately went to the horse and actually went underneath the horse, which any equine person just gasped.
Yeah, I was like, you don't do that.
That is number one no, is you don't go under the horse. And he immediately went under the horse, and that horse just stood there, calm as he didn't move. And he just started rubbing the belly of this horse, just underneath, just rubbing, and the horse did not move.
Wow.
So he crawled under, and they gave him the lead rope. And this is this nonverbal young man who doesn't speak, started speaking clear as day to this horse and started talking to the horsey. Come on, horsey, let's go, horsey. And just would not stop talking the entire time he was leading that horse. Yeah, and this is a mother who had never heard her son speak.
Oh, so he didn't speak the whole time up until then? Nonverbal,
completely nonverbal.
The whole time. Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, and to speak clearly, and just that's to have so much freedom. And that's the thing with the horses, they know too. Here's this young man who had the freedom to just walk up and get right underneath him, and that horse knew. Stay still. It's stuff like that where, as a horse person, you're like, oh, wait a minute. That horse knew and just did it. And that's the amazing part about using horses for this kind of work.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. Yeah. So let's see if there's people out there who are like, well, I don't have land to donate. We always know that foundations like yours are always going to, open for money. And I know we have make sure your website's down there. And of course it's on the description if you want to donate some money. And then we also have, let's see, we also did the Amazon Smile. You were telling me that you guys got to do that. So
yeah. You're shopping as we all are online right now.
Mm-hmm.
If you go to Amazon Smile, you can pick a charity. We would love you to pick Rusty Halo Foundation.
There you go. And then what's the other thing? If they want to volunteer, people who want to volunteer, do you guys accept volunteers? And how does that look like? And what can people do for you, or other things that they could donate? Or are there other possible items that maybe you need?
So we would always love to partner, again, until we find our own ranch. If there's someone who has horses in a ranch that would be willing to allow us to work with their horses and bring youth there, please email me, info@rustyhalo.org. Partner. Right now we're partnering, with Generosity, Horse Rider Connection, hopefully soon with Xenophon, homes. So definitely could use place to work out of. Volunteers is a little interesting because we are working with foster youth. So there's confidentiality issues there. So you need to work with me. I can help train people on how to work with foster youth, how to work with at-risk youth, HIPAA requirements, things like that. So it is something I can definitely work with volunteers on. We'll have our 5 events at least next year that we'll need people to help with. Donations, obviously, we are completely funded by philanthropy and charity. And then hopefully we'll have our hats. We have a little mindful store, we call it, coming up soon with some jewelry and our hats. And the jewelry is all made out of refurbished materials to echo that philosophy that you are perfect as you are. You can be beautiful with what you have. So it's all refurbished little washers and strings and things. So we'll have that up.
And are those available on the website as well? Can people buy that from?
You gotta figure out how to set up the store and all the
the Shopify.
So right now,
I know.
In-person event.
I know it's great. Like technology allows you to do all these things, but then you have to actually know how to do it.
Exactly, and have people to help do it. So. And expanding our board and bringing some wonderful people on board to help. But it's things like that. Someone that maybe has the knowledge on how to set up a store, please email me.
There you go. Yeah. Donate your know-how, right?
Exactly. So spread the word. I mean, that's the big thing. The more people that know, someone might have a connection to somebody who has a connection to somebody who has some land.
Right.
So just get the word.
Yeah. And if there's any IT people out there, or most of them probably are still employed since they can work from home, but there's other people who do have these skills, right? And they could definitely help out that way. So other than, IT stuff and land and whatnot, are there any other things that come to mind that, like you guys could use, even if it's like resources or do you guys ever need like old saddles or things like that?
Yeah, someone has donated tack, and I do have some storage units where I am keeping everything. And if there's someone who does have a place that we can work out of, I'll need saddles, tack. The girls can always use bigger boots. They seem to keep growing. I can't stop them from growing for some reason. Jeans, things like that are always fun for them. Oh man, it's like once we have the ranch, that'll be endless. The things we'll need.
Right.
For now, as people bring things in, I keep them in storage for when we will have the ranch.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, anything that you want to, we're right at the half-hour mark. This kind of worked out perfectly here. But I don't know if there's any message that you want to give about what you're doing, or, any call out there to people. Because there's so many people out there. You and I were talking about not just about mindfulness, but that, trying to give these kind of services and things to, especially the kids, but also teaching the mindfulness, teaching positive coping skills, right? Things that serve us in life. I mean, is there any call out there that you want to give or say that, maybe somebody needs to hear, or if somebody wants to help, how they can, or just any message?
The biggest thing is that there's just not enough, I don't want to say proper, these youth that we call at risk are in a system that's broken. The foster system needs so much repair. The correctional system needs so much repair. And there's just not enough opportunity out there for these youth to get a chance to get themselves on a right path, because they really have to do it themselves. You know that. Mm-hmm. They have to choose for themselves. But how do they even choose when they're not given the choice?
Yeah.
And so there needs to be more organizations out there like Rusty Halo. So we are fighting, being a startup in a pandemic, and this rough time, to give this opportunity to youth. So, I mean, man, we need donations, we need land. And then once this ranch is up and running, I will be training more and more people and partnering with more and more people to build more facilities, more programs, because there are just way too many youth out there that need this type of.
Well, that just raised the question. I was thinking about that, because there's other organizations that are out there, right? And it's just like they're all looking for their help and handouts as well to keep going, whatever it is they have going right now. So, like, what kind of organizations may you want to partner or collaborate with that may not have even thought of Rusty Halo and the equine and whatnot? What could it be? I know you were mentioning about vets too. Like, what other organizations and people would you want to partner with, or that should consider Rusty Halo as a possibility?
Any sort of foster program that we can connect with to start working with their youth. Veterans programs. I have yet to find a single program, and it could be I just haven't found it, but I have yet to find a single program that offers any opportunity to the youth, the children, the teens of veterans. Mm-hmm. So any veteran program out there, we would like to get in touch with their youth and start partnering with them to set up a program for their veterans children.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah. So, and then anyone, if they have a horse ranch and they're just sitting there, and the horses aren't being used and want to allow us to come in and bring the veterans children's in, we could partner with any type of ranch that has that ability, somebody that has a horse with that ability. We can do that. Anything like that. Youth homes, group homes. Mm-hmm. And then once we have Rusty Halo Foundation going with the ranch, we'll be able to do EGALA programming for corporations.
Oh, yeah. Like a team building kind of thing?
Yeah, absolutely. So once this ranch, again, the possibilities are endless. Once this ranch is up.
All right. Well, we got hello, landowners that may have too much land, or people with too many horses you don't know what to do with. And I mean, that would be an awesome donation, right? It's like, okay, here's a section of land and here's a couple of my horses, or even doing that partnership thing where you're coming in and helping take care of the horses and stuff, right?
Absolutely. Kids will all be taking care of it, and being able to do these corporate events too, having the corporations that come in that can see the work that's being done too. Yeah. So they have their own team building event, yet they're seeing what the community is doing and how we're reaching out. So it's
and then those kind of dollars help keep going these other things too, right? So, well, Steph, I just want to say I love and commend what you're doing. That you've made such a big leap, and just 2 minutes on that. I mean, because we came from we met at a women's leadership group. I know you and I have shared some stories of our own personal development and getting over our own traumas. But when you make that decision, as you've talked about, established businesswoman in construction, and then to decide, hey, I'm going to take this huge leap. And obviously, let's be frank, it's going to be a huge pay cut, right, on top of it. And then you're responsible for all these things like what kind of mindset things and things you've had to come up against to go ahead, because there's so many people out there too who are fed up with their jobs, fed up with the life that they're living. Like you said, it's just like you went to a dark place, and a lot of people right now are in some dark places, you know, with what's going out there, but then it's a reflection of what's going on inside.
Yes.
What kind of words do you have to say to those people that may have some dream that they've dreamt and they're arguing for their limitations versus the possibilities?
You can allow yourself to be driven by your limitations, or you can choose to move beyond them. And it's about making what you want and what you're going towards bigger than what you think you're up against. And for me, it was, yes, I was making pretty decent money in construction, and now I'm making pretty much nothing. The reward is knowing that, but what's inside of me is now fulfilled, and I'll find the way to pay the rent. It'll happen because what I'm doing is in line with who I am. But you've got to have the intention. It is all about 100% intention. Doesn't matter how you get there, just get there. So set that intention. So my intention is I will have land. It's not if or maybe. It's I will have land. Rusty Halo Ranch will come about. I'm just not totally sure how I'm going to get there at the moment, but I will get there. So it's scary.
Yeah.
Upset tummy a lot. But you cross over and you get there. What you want is so much bigger than the daily struggle.
That is true. Well, and I thank you for that and your words. And that's why I have you on here too, to spread this out. And anyone who sees this, know somebody with horses, a ranch, some land, you know, somebody who may have too much money and doesn't know where to put it, right? Here is a great cause to, you know, because we've all had really, I mean, I don't know anyone who has a adolescence that they're really fond of and crazy about. You know, it's a tough time. It's a really tough time. And then when you add to it, being in the system is just that much more, you know. Yeah, you're just at risk. I think I love how you said that. Any youth is at risk. It doesn't matter if they have a whole home or a broken home. But yeah, anyone out there, please share this video. You know, if you have an inkling or somebody comes into mind, don't even second guess it. Give it. Just send it out. Share it. And this is what this is all about, is putting it out there, you know, and making those things happen, because it's not up to us about the how. It's just like you said, stay the intention, stay the course, and yeah, and follow your heart and your dreams. And I thank you for doing that and being such a great example of that, Steph. I honor you and what you're doing. And I will be continuing to help on the background and keep you informed of stuff. And yeah, put you in contact when we get off here. I actually have some people I want to talk to you about.
Yay!
Yay!
Honors. Thank you so much for having me. And thank you for what you are doing with this, getting the word out for so many great people. Thank you for your work.
Yeah. Well, hey, it's extraordinary people, extraordinary everyday people who are just, you know, spreading that positivity. And that is you too, whoever's watching. So that could be you. That already is you. So, you know, just pull that out and let it shine. So, all right, everyone, thank you so much for joining us. And thank you, Steph Peak and Rusty Halo. I already see, you know, the wings spreading and taking flight here. And everyone else, enjoy the rest of your never before lived day and stay happy, healthy, positive.